welcome to the Making Stories podcast. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Claire. I'm in Nova Scotia and I'm the marketing and social media manager here at Making Stories. Across the airwaves and over in Berlin is my lovely colleague and friend Hanna, who is our founder and fearless leader over here at Making Stories. And you are very welcome. This is our podcast all about what goes on behind the scenes, sustainability, and more importantly, what is on our needles. We produce a magazine twice a year with gorgeous patterns made with sustainable yarns. And welcome back. If you know the spiel already, thanks for sitting through it. This is episode 25 and the final episode of 2021.
What?
Which is madness. I can't believe it. For this final episode, we're actually going to be massively indulging in our knitting and sharing with you our 3 favourite makes almost of this year. One of my makes isn't quite in this year. It was slightly into last year, but still I want to show it to you anyway. So we're going to be showing our favourite knits that we've done this year and slightly last year. And before then, we do have a few housekeeping things. So I'm going to throw you over to Hanna to say hello and to share a little update with you.
Hello, lovelies. Thank you so much for being here. Grab a cup of tea or coffee, my beverage of choice, in this beautiful Christmas mug that the wonderful Claire gifted me. Thank you, love. I love it so much.
You're welcome.
So yeah, this is a fun little episode, just, where we want to share our joy about knitting. And I totally misremembered the briefing because I have 2 things that I made this year, but then I also have the thing, I kind of thought it's like, okay, what are the most favorite things that we've ever made? So I brought something that I made years ago. I'm sorry.
Oh,
but
awesome.
It's
no,
nice.
Maybe I did say that now you said it. No, I think maybe I did say that. I think it started off as this year and then I changed it because I wanted to share something else and then completely forgot.
I love it.
So there's that.
Okay, so welcome to our world. This is how we operate. I love it. Before we get into sort of the housekeeping that I want to share, I just want to express a lot of gratitude for all of you who've been with us this year. I know that it's been a tough year for a lot of us. Second year of the pandemic, I think by this time last year, all of us thought, Christmas 2021 and winter season 2021 is going to be all back to normal. And it's not. And I think we're all feeling it to various degrees. But I just know that I feel tired and anxious and, all of those things and with significant less patience and grace than I was last year. And if you are feeling the same, know that you are not alone. But I think it's also important for us to, grasp these little moments of joy and thankfulness. And so I want to say thank you for watching this podcast, for being a supporter of our work, because we love what we do and we couldn't do it without you. And especially this year with us, venturing into the business of actually selling yarns, sustainably produced yarns online, which is a huge new thing for us. You've all been so supportive and that just makes me so happy. So thank you.
Yeah.
So
well said.
Thank you. I was like, I'm gonna take a kind of sip of coffee now. So housekeeping bits. If you've been following us, say through our newsletter, for example, you will have already seen this. If you want to read up on anything that I'm about to share, maybe we can pop the link to the blog post down in the down bar below. We are going to increase the prices of our magazine as of January 10th. So the new prices will be €24.90, which is a price increase of €3 for the print version and €20.90 for the digital version, which is about the same, slightly less, 10 cents less for the digital version. Our subscription pricing will also change. The details for that you can find in the blog post as well. So it's also essentially going up slightly. And I wanted to talk a little bit about why this is coming now. If you've been following us for a while, you know that in 2019, in the first quarter of the year, March 2019, we first launched Making Stories magazine. And since then, we've produced 6 issues, issue 7 and 8. I just sent issue 7 off to the printer, so they were in the production. But ever since we started, we have not made a single price change. So this is the third full year of us doing the magazine. And in that space and time, 2 things have kind of shifted and changed, and they are the major reasons that we're increasing prices now. Now, before I go into those 2 things, let me say that we are aiming to run a fully sustainable business, and that also includes financial sustainability. One thing that is not always easy to come by, but at the end of the day, I mean, none of us is making enormous amounts of money with any of this. We do what we do because we love what we do, but we also firmly believe that working in this industry, it can not only be done because we love what we do, but there also needs to be fair and sustainable compensation for everyone involved. And that is why, we're making decisions about, for example, designer compensation, and also, deciding to, for example, print locally to me here in Berlin instead of outsourcing the printing somewhere else, because we think that's an important facet of being a sustainable agent in this world, trying to support your local communities. So all that being said, what are the 2 main reasons for us to increase the prices? The one is simply our costs have increased quite substantially over the last 3 years, and we've always compensated for that. We've always, we've just essentially cut our margin instead of increasing our prices. And it's come to a point where we're just not financially able to do that anymore. There are 2 major components to that. One is that you might have seen that we've expanded our size range, which has meant that we've also increased designer compensation because they're now grading for more sizes, which is obviously more work for them. So that is a portion of the cost that has increased. The other one that is even more significant is that over the last 2+ years, wood prices and consequently paper prices have risen through the roof. Just this, for this upcoming issue alone, we're facing a 20% increase in paper cost, which is a lot. It's a lot, people. And it's just, if you think about that 3 years ago, we started with the same price. We did never do any price increases, not account for inflation, for nothing. It's just not possible for us to do that anymore. So that is the one major reason. The second major reason is that we have taken a good look at the knitting magazine market to see and better understand, where do we sit in terms of the quality, the content, essentially how much value you get from our magazine for the amount that you pay for it. You all know we produce 136 completely ad-free pages, so you get 136 pages full of content. Every single issue has 12 patterns. Issue 8 will have 13 even. And if we're looking at other knitting magazines on the market, at the number of patterns that they have, at the number of content pages, so if you take out the ad pages, and at their price, it's become abundantly clear that we're at the very, very, very bottom of the price range. We're the cheapest, essentially. And I think we are among the best. Let me put that out there. I think
Definitely.
in terms of the quality, we are among the best. And I know for a fact, if I'm looking at the numbers, that in terms of the bang that you get for the buck that you spend on us, we are among the very best. So this, like, it's just never felt, it's just not feeling right in the entire context of the knitting magazine market anymore, the way that we price. So we feel that the new price will better reflect the value that we provide with our magazine. So that is that. The prices will go up, and it was really important to us to communicate that with a long lead time beforehand. So they will go up on January 10th, which is when we're coming back from winter break. Until then, you get the old price. So, if you want to stock up on back issues, if you want to get a subscription now, do that. And then, January 10th, prices will go up. A quick note on subscriptions. If you are a subscriber and you're asking yourself what's happening with my subscription, we currently have 2 different subscription models still running in parallel. If your subscription was one of the old ones that was a specific number of issues, so 4 issues, for example, then nothing changes for you. Like, you just, no price change, no anything. You've paid upfront for the entire sort of amount of magazines that you're going to get. If you have an annual subscription, which is the one that we are offering now, then what will happen is that once your current year is up, then you will be charged the new price. So that is happening with the annual subscriptions. If you're not happy about that, or if it's not financially possible for you, you can cancel your annual subscription at any point in time. The cancellation will then go into effect when the year is over. What you can also do alternatively, if you are, for example, in a financially tough situation right now, you can hit pause on your subscription. So if you don't want to cancel it outright, you can just hit pause, and then you won't be charged and you won't get the next year. If you have any questions around that, send us an email, hello@making-stories.com, or reach out to us. We're always happy to help, and we are 100% transparent with the price increase, with everything that is going on here. So if there's something that you're asking yourself, do ask us. We're more than happy to talk about it.
Yeah, and that was a ton of information all at once, right?
Sorry.
There. No, it's fantastic because you explained it all perfectly, but it's a lot of information, and if you're kind of sat there thinking, ooh, I would like to go over that again, we've put all of that in a blog post, and it's linked below, so do go in and check it out, read through it as many times as you want to, ask us as many questions in the comments there, or email us hello@making-stories.com. I'll put that below as well. And yeah, just so all the information is there for you to check out as much as you would like.
Yeah. That's the housekeeping bit done. On the day that this airs, it's the last day of our annual winter celebration.
As of right now, it's still, what day are we on? We're on day 2, so We're filming this in advance, so it's day 2, so it's still early days, but when this airs, it's going to be the last day. I feel like it's going to fly over so quickly. Everything's already planned out right to the very end, so it's already kind of done, and I'm just going through the motions and setting everything going each night, so yeah, it's kind of, I'm excited to see what people think every day. So hopefully, if you're watching this, you've enjoyed the winter celebration, and right now you have a brand new pattern that we have gifted over to you, Schneeflöckchen. Did I say it correctly?
Yes, almost perfectly. Schneeflöckchen.
There we go. I just can't get that inflection right. The Northwest England in me.
It is also just a freaking complicated German word. So
it's a beautiful word.
It means little snowflake for anyone who's asking. Oh. It's just a little. It's the tiny little snowflake.
It's a beautiful word. I always butcher them. But you should now have this new beautiful hat pattern right there to go. We hope you love it. I've been so excited about sharing it with everyone. And yeah, I just hope you love it so much. It's from Anika from Rosemary and Pine Fibre Arts. We sold some of the kits in the shop. The time this is going to air, we had a very, very limited amount of them. There may still be some in the shop. We don't know. It's in the future, but I guess we'll see. And it's a beautiful DK weight. It's called Luster Sock with 100% German merino yarn. And it's just a beautiful pattern. It's a beautiful yarn, but it's also perfect for going stash diving because it's that DK weight. I always feel like we've all got those rogue scraps of DK yarn left over from a project, which are going to be great for colour work for this hat. Also, we've also got those rogue single skeins hanging around because I'm terrible at doing that. So it's perfect for stash diving and hopefully giving yourself a little bit of either gift knitting or gift to yourself for the Christmas period. And yeah, we're just really excited to be able to share this gift pattern with you as a big thank you for all your support for the year.
Yeah. So, I'm being a very bad podcast host again because that sample is somewhere over there and I don't have it. But maybe we can insert a few pictures.
We'll put the photos
because we have
in.
A couple of beautiful photos of that hat, and it is really, it's such a sweet pattern. I might or I might not have a yarn kit stashed away so that I can cast. I totally did that. I have a yarn kit.
I have one too.
Yeah.
I have one too. The yellow one. I'm so excited. I'm going to have a yellow snowflake.
Yes.
So yeah, we're excited about that. So I really hope you enjoy the winter celebration. And yeah, shall we go into our favourite knits of all time?
Oh, yes.
Which it is now.
Let's do that.
Not from this year. Do you want me to start? I was thinking we could go one.
Oh, yes.
I'll do
let's
one,
alternate.
you do one,
Yep.
I'll do one.
You start. Yeah.
I'll start. So I'm wearing one of my all-time favourite knits, which is my Petiole from issue 3. This is by Stephanie Earp, and it's knit in Stolen Stitches' newest sport. And I love it. I remember when I saw this pattern, and I was completely in love with it because I remember Stephanie sent us a picture of it in Progress, where she'd just done the yoke, and we were both like, oh, that looks so good. And I knew straight away that I wanted to knit it, but I was also a little bit not worried, but I tend to knit for my sweaters. I knit a lot of stuff knit sweaters. I really like a good basic sweater that I can throw on with anything, and I'm not an overly, what am I trying to say, not a fussy dresser, but just I do tend to go for plainer things a lot of the time. And I was a little bit worried because it is a more, what I would call fancy yoke for me. I was slightly worried when I first started making it that it was going to be one of those things that I love, but I wasn't going to wear as much, especially because when I ordered the yarn, the colour looked very different online, and then I got it, and this colour is completely out of my comfort zone normally. I thought it was more of a dusky pink. This is Cerebellum, and it's more of, it's definitely more purpley. Oh, we'll come up then.
Ooh, hi, Tilly.
Tilly's joining us. It's definitely more of a purple. So all around I was a little, this is very different for me. As soon as I got it off the needles, I never stopped wearing it. I've worn it ever since, and it's so comfortable. It's perfect because it's got the right width of neck for me. It's not too tight, but it's cozy. The yarn's really cozy. It's a wool, it's wool, silk, and yak. And
no,
linen.
It's wool, linen, and yak blend.
Linen, that was it. So it's really cozy because of the yak, but it's also not too hot because of the linen. So for me, it's the perfect garment, and I knit it with straight sleeves. I didn't do the sleeve shaping, so I've got kind of a blousy sleeve going on, which is what I quite like.
Yeah.
And you can't tell quite as much now because Tilly's blocking it, but I did it slightly more cropped without any way shaping in it, and I just love it. I wear it all the time. I wear it in the house. I wear it to go shopping in. Those are the only places I go. I just realised I can't say anywhere else I wear.
What are the things
That's
that
all
I
do.
Oh, same here.
Pandemic, but still. So yeah, this is my first my first favourite, and it's from issue 3 of Making Stories magazine. I think you can also get it as an individual pattern from Stephanie. I don't think we have it on our website.
No,
right
not yet.
Not yet, but you can get it directly from Stephanie at hers, or you can get it as part of issue 3.
Exactly.
On the website.
Yay! And I can just attest to the fact that this is such a, honestly, for me, it's become a workhorse sweater. So what I'm gravitating towards this winter is, because our apartment is usually quite warm and I'm working from here, I tend to wear something like this, like a thinner long sleeve shirt. But then obviously when I'm going out, like picking up Orin or going to the playground or grocery shopping or something, that's not enough. And so I'm gravitating towards sweaters that I can just throw on, and that has been perfect. And I think it's because the weight of the yarn, like it's not too warm, it's not too heavy, it's like it's beautifully light as well. So yeah. And I like it. And I was thinking the other day, like, you know, yeah, it's a little bit of a fancy sweater, but also fancy sweaters deserve wearing. So
exactly, definitely. And I just find it really nice. I really enjoy it. And I remember knitting it, and it was such a nice knit. I'm a slow knitter. I'm notoriously slow. I think I bosh through this so quickly because I couldn't stop knitting it, because this looks like it could be quite a complicated yoke, and it really isn't. It's really intuitive, and I just remember getting all the way through it really quickly. The sleeve, it took me longer to do the sleeves than it did any of the rest of it, because I knit them straight, which always adds on a lot of extra you can see how much I'm wearing because I've got bubbles in my arms.
That's just life.
That's all my sweaters. Oh, so what is your next favourite? Well, first favourite. As if I need to ask.
No one will be surprised by this. But this is actually, I don't think, just my favorite make of this year, but one of possibly my favorite thing that I've ever made. I put that out there.
I love it.
So this is Bindweed. I'm quickly gonna stand up so you can see it. So
it turned out so good.
Yeah, I love it. It's still not blocked, but who cares? So this is Bindweed from issue 5, a pattern by Xenia Naidyon that you can also get individually through her, but also through us on the website. So if you like this, you can also get the PDF now from us directly. And it's a top-down cropped cardigan with these gorgeous balloon sleeves and this striking cable pattern. And the reason why this might be possibly my favorite thing that I've ever made is because it's if you're thinking, it's like a Venn diagram, something like a pattern that is incredibly well written. The knitting process is enjoyable, and the finished object is gorgeous and super easy to wear. This is all 3 things, which I think is incredibly rare. First of all, I had so much fun knitting this. It was so, like, even though the cable pattern looks complicated, as soon as you have knit a few repeats, you know what's going on. It's quite intuitive. It's a nice rhythm. There's a lot of stockinette also going on. Like, the entire back is stockinette, and because it's cropped, you have this little cable here. Like, the body just it just flows off the needles. And so I just genuinely had so much fun knitting it, which is also due to the fact that the pattern is just incredibly well written. Like, there are some construction details in there, especially the way that you start it, and then also the way that the raglan increases are worked, and the way that the sleeve decreases are worked. Ooh, this is, that just make this a really, really good pattern. And even though it seems to be a bit more complicated, it's just incredibly easy to follow. So even if you're a beginner knitter, if you're an adventurous beginner, you can totally tackle this. Like it's not
so
complex. Too. And in terms of the finished object, like this is one of those things where it goes with everything in my wardrobe. I'm just too scared to wear it because I don't want to wear it down, which is kind of stupid because I can't just knit one again. But
it's true.
Yeah. I think because of I just love the shape, like the cropped shape within the balloon sleeves. And yeah, it goes with everything. And I love the yarn that it shows. Cool. So I knit this in the yarn that the pattern was originally designed for. Knitting for Olive's merino held double with her soft silk mohair. And the colorway for the merino was plum rose, so a darker pink. And for the mohair yarn was rose clay, so a slightly lighter pink. And yeah, I just love it.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's so nice. There's not enough knitting hours in the day. I really want to cast on a yellow version of Bindweed.
You know what?
So good.
There is a beautiful, quite recently finished light green version of a yarn dyer who used her own yarns for it. It's stunning.
It's gorgeous. I saw it the other day on Instagram. I'm going to be posting about it in our stories this week because it's gorgeous. It's like a minty, leafy pale green, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. So what is the next thing that you have?
Well, I wanted to share one of my all-time favorite projects, which are these.
Oh, I want to make those.
These are my Sami Mittens by Inez Sang, and I'm obsessed with them. I love them so much. So I made these. When did I actually make them? I test knit them for her. So I think it might be a couple of years ago that I actually knit them. I'm classing them as a more recent finished project because I did something to them which I'm going to share in a moment. But first of all, let me tell you about the pattern. You hold a fingering weight yarn and a floof yarn, double. I can't tell you what I used because I stashed dough for it, and it was, like I said, it was a couple of years ago now that I actually made the main part of these. But I know it was a fingering weight wool yarn, and I used a brushed alpaca as the floofy lace weight yarn, and it makes the coziest fabric. That's it on the other side. So the body of them are all pearl stitches. This is a twisted rib here, and it's got this beautiful column of cables and this knot stitch, but then you do the bobbles just in the floofy yarn, so whatever your floof yarn is, and you have to use, it took a little bit of getting used to because it's the first time I've done bobbles on that small of yarn with a crochet hook. So have you ever done them with a crochet hook? So it took me a couple of practices, but I actually loved it because you get these really neat, cute.
They look so good.
Aren't they sweet? She now has a hat pattern using this as a hat version of it. And there's a sister pattern to it which uses the bobbles, which is just like an all over bobbly mitten, which is also really beautiful. But I made these a couple of years ago and I absolutely love them. But one thing I find, I think being in Nova Scotia too, it gets really cold and it gets really damp because we get snow, but then we don't have as cold a temperatures, say, on the west coast. So we get a lot of heavy, wet snow. And my hands get cold really easily. And I found that just having the one layer wasn't quite enough. And I find this with all my mittens. I tend to have to double layer up. But I wanted to wear these so much, so I actually knit a lining to them.
Ooh.
Let's see if I can just turn the whole thing inside out. So what I did was I had some. So this is actually a mohair fabric yarn that I got. It was a very local mohair farm, it's a really beautiful little farm based in Fredericton, and I was passing by, so I got a little skein of their yarn, and I knit a line. So I just followed the general instructions, like the measurements, but I went down a needle size, and this is like a heavy lace yarn. So I just followed the same instructions for that mitten, but of course omitting the cable pattern and everything like that. So I just followed the same stitch count. And I made 2 linings. I didn't line the cuff, so I just didn't knit the cuff. I just did a straight lining, and then I sewed it in there. The
Wow.
in here somewhere.
Did you line the thumb as well?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I got the thumb out though.
Yeah.
It's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So I just did the whole, like the thumb and the body, and then turned it inside out and just stitched it. I just whip stitched it along the cuff. It was actually really handy because it was like a little pearl ridge, because of how the pattern is, so it was easy to sew them to that. But they've made the warmest mittens I've ever had, and it's so cozy, and I just love them, and I like that it's kind of made it like they look like
nice.
when you see like illustrations of mittens when they look puffier. And they're like really round, and they've got, it's just everything about them I love. And I dusted them off the other day to get them out so I could wear them when we're going somewhere. I don't wear them to the woods, is the only thing. I don't wear them when I go to the woods with Tilly, because she likes me to throw lots of sticks for things and she'll grub them up. So they are more of my, I don't go anywhere. I'm going to the basement. So yeah, that's basically, I normally keep them as my going out for the day. We're going down to Lunenburg or something. But like I said, I don't really do that as much anymore. But yeah, I'll link the pattern below. Inez is a beautiful designer. She's so nice, and it was such a pleasure to test knit these for her back at a time when I had time to test knit for people. So I don't
now
do that
your
anymore.
shitty boss requires all your time.
No, not at all. No, I just have too many other things to knit at the moment. But yeah, that's my second favorite.
They are stunning. Thank you so much for sharing them, because it reminds me that I want to knit them, which I've been wanting ever since I saw them the first time. And this morning I actually rode the bike to the daycare to drop Orin off, and I had my little leather gloves, and they were too cold, so I need something warmer. So yeah.
And I think them. It's such a nice pattern.
Yeah, and I've been actually wanting to do something with the Biche Bûche yarn that we have, and that would be perfect.
That would be perfect with that yarn.
Yeah.
That's a perfect pairing, actually.
Yeah. Yay! Okay, so then in keeping in tradition with things that we have not made this year, I grabbed this one because this has been... Ooh, what is going on here? Is there a dropped stitch? No, there's not. This has literally been the thing that I have worn the most over the last, like, maybe 3 or 4 years. And...
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's such a versatile sweater and so wearable, and I just love it so much so that I wanted to share it. So this is Citrine, originally published in Jewels, and it's a pattern by the wonderful Emily Green. I think you've been able to get it as a single pattern for forever.
Yeah.
And it's a top-down, pretty cropped, boxy sweater with drop sleeves, and has, like most of Emily's patterns, has some gorgeous geometric, stunning twisted stitch action going on here. Beautiful. With these little yarn overs. And the original version was knit in Dererum Natura Gilliatt, so quite a heavyweight yarn, DK/worsted weight yarn, which I love, but I knew that, I mean, I've been talking about how my petiole is the like perfect throw-on sweater. This is the same thing. So I don't wear a ton of heavy sweaters. Like, it's just, I'm a warm person. I get sweaty easily. So, you know, like, I wear them when I'm going out hiking and such. But yeah. So what I did was, one of my favorite, of all-time favorite pattern hacks is I knit this in a different size with a lighter yarn with a sort of little sister of Gilia, Julis, who we also have in the shop, which is not the reason that I pulled this out, but just so you know. So I knit this a size larger, I believe, than I normally would have, but because those yarns, they're gauge wonders. Like, you can pretty much knit them to any gauge. Like, this is pretty close to the gauge that the pattern called for. It's just a really nice, light, airy fabric, and I don't even think it took, like, this is not more than 200 grams of yarn. Like,
really?
Yep.
Isn't that yarn brilliant? I always found that it's like a wonder, the yardage you get on it and then the fabric it makes. It's I still have a pile waiting to be turned into yoke because I'm rubbish this year and not had any time to knit the things I want to knit, so I can't wait to knit my nice sage green yoke version.
That's gonna be so fun. Yarn. Yeah, so that was my second thing. What's your third thing?
My third thing you've seen already on the podcast. I've shown before, so I'm not going to bang on about it too long, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity to do my favourite knits without including my pumpkin beret. Because I think it was just such a fun project. It was really quick, and I think this it keeps reminding me that knitting is first and foremost a fun thing to do. It's relaxing, it makes me happy, but this is just a joyous project. And I think sometimes we can get a little bit bogged down with things and is it going to fit right and doing this, and there's a lot of rules that fly around sometimes, but then I'm a great believer in the rules are great. It's always good to know exactly what you should be doing, but then throw it out if you don't want to do it. If you don't want to do things a certain way, do them the way that you want to do them. And I just really enjoyed making this pumpkin beret. I followed a pattern that I've knit before, Sari's Biz beret, but I used, what did I use?
You used Let Lopi.
Let Lopi, that was it. I was blanking for a moment. I used Let Lopi, which is a much heavier weight compared to what the pattern calls for, but I just did a few adjustments, and I knit these leaves from Susan B. Anderson's Harvest Fall charm set that I made a little garland of, and I stuck them on, and it's makes I got my things on, so but it just makes me really happy.
I love it so much. Yeah.
So this is my third favorite knit.
Yay! Very good.
Of all time. So I need more berets. Sari just actually released another beret pattern, which I purchased immediately because I need all the berets. It's really nice.
Erica also has a beautiful new beret pattern out.
Does she? I'm obsessed with berets. I just want to knit all the berets. I think because I've got quite poofy hair, I find a beret sits over the volume a little better and just kind of like goes in, but it doesn't keep your ears as warm. So we are going into I need them pulled down over my ears a little bit, but
I think berets are such a fun thing. I was thinking about you the other day. I was queuing in line, I think at the post office, and in front of me was the cutest older lady, quite a bit older, senior lady, perfect hair, and then the beret on it, and I was like, yeah, so good. You know how to wear a beret. I don't. She does. I
love it. No, I love a beret. It's so nice, and I like to I really like vintage style, but I find if I go too vintagey, I end up looking like I'm wearing a costume. Some people can really pull it off, but I find a beret is just a nice little hint of vintageness. But so that's my
and I also love that you chose something just because it shows, the joy that we get from knitting. Exactly. It's quite interesting because the last thing that I have here is also something that, I thoroughly enjoyed knitting and I made them this year, but I also chose it because it stands for something that just makes me genuinely happy about knitting. So those are my wild grass socks by Fiona Ellis. there are a couple of things that I want to say about this. So this is from issue 5. One, I have not worn them, and that is perfectly okay. Like, I know that we often are like, okay, you know, like, you're making a thing, you really need to wear it, you need to incorporate it into your wardrobe. No, sometimes it's also just fine if you make something and then you think it's beautiful and you just want to save it for a little bit, you know? And like these, they are so precious. They're just beautiful. Like, I just really, really like looking at them. And every morning, I wear wool socks every day now because it's so cold here. You know, when I open my sock drawer and I see these, I'm like, no, today is not the day. And one of these days, it's going to be like, maybe it's going to be Christmas, you know? Like, maybe Christmas, I bought a dark blue dress that I think would look brilliant under this. So maybe my Christmas outfit is that dress, that cardigan, and then these. Who knows?
That'd be cute.
You know, but like, I just wanted to share that. Like, it's fine. You know, you can admire your work. A lot of love and a lot of time went into these stitches. Like, and I'm the one who decides whether these get worn or not. So, you know.
I have a pair of hand knit socks that I just keep on the sock blockers and hang on the wall because I really like them.
Yeah.
And I don't want to wreck them. So I just have them up as decoration.
Yeah. And the other thing that I wanted to share about these that I just so love about knitting is they're a happy reminder to me of the people, you know, who have designed this pattern. It was such a pleasure. It's always such a pleasure to work with Fiona, you know. It's like, it's a reminder of you, of the time that we spend putting this issue together. It's a reminder of Ida, who dyed this yarn for a collaboration that I did with her ages ago for my non-existent business, with the, like, that's since gone out of business, with the project bags. And it's a reminder that, you know, like, when all of these things, sometimes things need time to come together. I've had this yarn in my stash for, I think, like 4 years, and it just waited and waited and waited, and then this was the perfect pattern for it.
That was the result.
And it's just a really happy reminder that, you know, I have a lot of good people in my life. So.
Oh, that's so nice. Knitting's like that, though. I always think it's kind of like a little bit of a timestamp.
Oh, it is.
Because you're right, it's like...
Yeah. Which can also be... I mean, we're knitting everything into those stitches, right? Like, the good and the bad things. So if you're knitting on something while you're going through a tough time, you might actually not want to wear that thing because there are not great memories attached with it. And I think that is also then just perfectly okay, you know? Like, it gave you what you needed, comfort in that time. And then you don't need to feel bad about letting it go after that. So
I've definitely done that before and then gifted things away because you get to the end of the project and you're like, oh, now it just makes you feel sad. Yeah. But yeah, like you said, at the time you needed something to work on, and that was the comfort it gave. And
exactly.
Yeah.
And the same thing is true for the opposite case, right? Like, a lot of joy went into these stitches. So yeah.
Exactly.
Speaking of joy, is the end of this episode, I think.
It is.
It's the end of the year.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I can't believe we're here. If you've stuck with us with this podcast through the thick and thin, because interestingly, not that last week when I was putting up our other podcast, just out of interest, I thought I'm going to go look at what our episode looked like this time last year. And technology-wise, I mean, we started off very rough with this podcast. We didn't know what we were doing. We just knew that we wanted to get on and share more behind the scenes with you every couple of weeks, and we just kind of set off filming, and it is rough around the edges. Those early episodes, right up until probably the beginning of this year, and one of our intentions for 2021 is when we set going, we were like, we want to carry on doing the podcast, but we've got to make it better because it's not great. So if you've stuck with us through all that and you're here, thank you so much. It's so nice to have you here, and that you've hung in through all the technical difficulties and the weird lighting, and yeah, it just means so much. And again, if you're new, by all means check out those early episodes. It's still just me and Hanna Lisa talking to each other from across the airways, but it's a little tricky. I'd stick with the newer episodes.
Maybe work backwards, so that you build up a tolerance once you get to the earlier episodes.
Yes. But yeah, I just want to say a big thank you. You're still here and you stuck with us, and it's just so nice to have you here to talk to you, show you behind the scenes, and we really appreciate each and every one of you who stops by to spend some time with us. We can't wait to spend more time with you next year here on the podcast.
Yeah, I can't wait to be back, honestly. I'm so excited already for our first recording date next year. Yeah, there was a lot of weeks. I'm imagining we'll have a lot of knitting. So.
Oh, I've got some plans. As long as my carpal tunnel flared up. I don't know. Have you ever said a word and then it just doesn't sound right? Yeah. Anyway, my carpal tunnel has been playing up this week, so I've not done any knitting. I don't know what people do who don't knit when they sit down at night.
I know.
But I'm nearly there. I'm nearly ready. So I'm raring to go with all the knitting. So when we come back in the new year, maybe we'll do over Christmas things we knit. First episode back.
Yeah,
that would be fun.
That would be super fun. So yeah, I can just second Claire. Thank you so much for being here, for sticking with us, for supporting us in this year. Yeah, stay safe, everyone. Just a tiny little bit last bit of housekeeping. So the entire Making Stories team will be going on winter break from December 17th to January 10th. So December 17th is our last day in the office. January 10th is the first day back. If you want to purchase something in the meantime, in the between days from the shop will be open. It will all then ship in the week of January 10th. There's digital downloads for everything also available on the website, right? So, if you want to have immediate access to something, you can get that through the digital download. Also, if you buy print versions, you also get an immediate digital version sent to your inbox. So there's that. Yeah, thank you so much. And if you want to share with us what your favorite make of this year or of all times is, we would love to hear about it. Just leave a comment down below. We always love pattern inspiration and filling up our queue with beautiful things.
Definitely.
Have a wonderful rest of the year, lovelies, and we'll see you on the other side.
See you next year.
Bye.